Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. And if you're just getting into the knife hobby or if you're looking to give some advice to someone who is, this list right here is going to be the best way to kickstart an instant knife collection. Let's check it out. This list actually was inspired by a viewer question who left it in our comments section below as a submission to our weekly FAQ series. But I thought it was good enough to kind of break it out and give it its own standalone video. Bard Pitt says, "Hey guys, new to the hobby and love your videos. Can we get one about where you'd start your collection? Given maybe $500, where would you start? Thanks for getting me into the hobby." You're very welcome, and I'm also kind of sorry because as far as hobbies go, this whole knife thing, once it sinks its teeth into you, it's there to stay. It's kind of hard to shake the enthusiasm for this sort of stuff. So apologies in advance if this causes you problems in the future. I really liked this. It got me thinking because given that kind of constraint, what I want to do with this list that I'm going to present is I want to give you something that's going to allow you folks to experience as many different facets of the modern enthusiast knife world as there is, while also giving you a complementary set of tools that's going to be very useful. So I want to give you things that let you experience a bunch of different lock types, a bunch of different blade shapes, some different steels, different manufacturers. Because when you're just getting started out, it can be hard to know. You might have an idea what you like, but it's hard to know whether you're going to like some other stuff unless you actually try it. So that's what I'm going to do here. Let you try out all the different fruit trees of the knife world. I'm going to start with a couple of honorable mentions. These are two quite affordable knives that are great places to start, but as I was kind of narrowing this list down and filling in sections that I thought needed to be served, I couldn't quite make these two knives fit. But they're worth talking about. The Ontario Rat Model 1 is the first. Comes in about $34 nowadays. Fantastic knife. And the other thing about these two knives is, this and the next one I'm going to show you, is they're really important kind of touchstones in a way. Really well-known points of comparison to other things that most knife folks tend to have an idea about. But the Rat Model 1 or the Rat 1 is a standby. 3.6-inch blade, AUS-8 or D2 steels available, versatile shape, full flat grind. It's going to work just about anywhere. Outdoor stuff, daily carry, heavy use, even a little bit of tactical stuff. Fantastic. Works for a lot of folks. Got a nice handle that's going to fit a lot of folks. Really great. But again, didn't quite fit into my list, but still worthy of a mention. The next one is the Buck 110, the Slim Select specifically. $32 knife right now, made in the States, and a buck knife. I mean, it's such a classic. You've got a capable blade here, 3 3/4 of an inch, slimmer carry than the classic, the original buck knife, and it's also got a pocket clip and thumb studs for one hand opening, so it's got some modern touches. Fantastic knife, built extremely well, can take a beating, and it's not going to break the wallet either. But again, just didn't quite fit into the categories that I was building out. So now we're going to start with the list proper. And we're going to start with locking folding knives, the place to start. And we're going to start with just a general purpose, everyday carry, locking folding knife. And for that, I'm going to go with the SOG Terminus XR. In terms of this kind of style of knife, just a basic pocket knife, this knife hits so many notes of what the modern knife enthusiast world is all about. You've got a D2 tool steel blade for one, which nowadays D2 is a very affordable steel option, and it offers in its price range pretty much the best edge retention you can get. You've got a clip point blade shape here, just under 3 inches, so it's easy to carry just about everywhere. You've got a deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible, another real important kind of knife enthusiast feature these days. G10 handles, this one happens to be red. And you've got a crossbar lock, a finger safe operation, ambidextrous, that is just so much fun. And only within the last few years has been available at these lower prices. I mean, even this $60 knife is one of the lowest priced knives you can find a crossbar style lock like this on. And it allows you, like I said, to keep your fingers out of the blade path. It allows you to do centrifugal opening and closing. You've also got a flipper tab on this knife. You've also got thumb studs. So if there's gonna be one knife to start with, or one knife to start and end with, if you're really thinking about it, this one might be it, because you've got so many different options. You've got a capable knife for just everyday general purpose use. Not too big, not too small, built well, and a lot of fun. All right, next up, we need us a big tactical knife to go with our smaller general purpose pocket knife. And again, I want to introduce new features with every one of these knives along the way. Check out the Cold Steel SR1 Lite, $57 nowadays. New blade shape to play with here. You've got your American style Tonto, new steel, and 8CR series stainless. Pretty basic stuff, but capable. You've got a thicker blade stock here. In addition to kind of the tactical uses, that blade stock combined with the lock that we're about to get to also allows this knife to fulfill the role of just heavy duty beater that you can really abuse with no compunction of it failing without feeling guilty either. The handles are injection molded, so you get a different feel from the G10 there. And you have the triad lock, which looks just like any other normal back lock that you might have seen before, but it's even stronger and even more long lasting because of the way the internal surface is made up. It kind of self-adjusts over time, and it's very strong. Cold Steel says one of the strongest on the market. It's definitely a confidence-inspiring knife. You've got tons of reach, 4 inches here, and tons of durability to go along with it. Polar opposite from the big honkin' tactical knife, next, we need us a gent's knife. We need something smaller, something classy. Check out the CJRB Ria with a new handle material here, carbon fiber. Not new in the grand scheme of things, but new on our list anyway. You also get the next lock to experience. You got a liner lock here. You've got a drop point blade, third new blade shape so far. $32 for these knives. Again, you're just under 3 inches on the blade itself. You've got a full flat grind. Kind of carries the vibes of classic pocket knives, but you get the modern locking and one-hand opening and deep carry pocket clip carrying form factor. This is a knife that you can take if you're dressed in fancier clothes. Maybe you have an office job where one of these larger knives might get frowned upon. This thing's much more subtle, but it's still so satisfying. The action on them, I've always found to be excellent. This particular one in my hands is one of the best I've ever felt, actually. And you've got ball bearings in the pivot. Another great modern enthusiast choice. All combines to just a fantastic modern pen knife. Next up, new blade shape and new locking mechanism and new handle material. Many new things. The CRKT Pilar Large. Really fantastic knife, coming in at about $35. The blade shape here is a modified sheep's foot, but it kind of toes the line of pocket cleaver, so you get a little bit of both flavors. 8CR series steel here again, length 2.7 inches, stout. You have a handle that allows you to hold behind the flipper tab here, or you have a finger choil out front, which allows you to choke up. It's another new feature that we haven't seen yet that you're gonna see in different areas of the knife world. The frame lock, new locking style there, very robust, especially when you squeeze that knife quite hard. Then when it comes time to open the knife, you've got 2 options. You've got the flipper tab combined with washers in the pivot that work quite well, as you can see. And you've also got a thumb cutout, something we haven't seen yet either. And this allows you to open it with your thumb or do things like that middle finger flick and get into some of those like fun, fidgety manipulation things that is part of the knife world. On top of that, this knife is also going to allow you to dip your toes into 2 different worlds if you like. Customization for one. The Pilar with this steel handle, well regarded and well known as a platform for customization. Engraving, you can do different finishes on it, you can do all sorts of things. And it'll also let you dip your toes with this knife into the aftermarket. There are all kinds of accessories that folks make for this knife that you could purchase. Different scales, pocket clips, all kinds of things. So you can see if that's an avenue of knife collecting and knife enthusiasm that tickles your fancy, and then go off on that tangent in the future. All right, the last locking knife on this list represents what might be like the hottest trend right now in the knife world, and that is the button lock flipper. This is the Kizer Swayback. It comes in at $59. And we'll talk about the button lock first. It's another finger-safe style lock. You have flipping action that is quite good, and you have flicking action that is quite good. Simply hold that button down, and you can wrist flick the blade open and closed. Really nice, and something that shows no signs of slowing down right now. Reason I picked this one, well, one, it was in the price range that allowed us to keep this list under $500, but it's also another something completely different from the previous knives we looked at. We've got a new blade shape here with the Wharncliffe, great utility shape, pierces well, good at strong, heavy cuts thanks to its straight edge, yet very precise because of that tip. And you've got the Swayback handle style, bit of a throwback to older school knives, but it's another feel, completely different feel on how a knife is in the hand. Works really well in reverse grips particularly. So again, experiencing another facet of the knife world. We've also got another new handle material compared to our list so far, paper micarta in red particularly. Has a really nice matte texture and matte feel to it, and it's something you don't see too much of at any price on folders, so that also helps set it apart. The other thing I should mention, which I haven't yet, is the pocket clip here, while not deep carry, is reversible, and even though this is a right-hand biased lock, the button lock style can be very useful for left-handers. And indeed, two of these other knives, the SR1 Lite from Cold Steel and the SOG Terminus XR, are both very left-hand friendly. The liner lock and frame lock, however, those are definitively biased towards one type of handedness, right-handedness in this particular case. So if that's not your thing, if you're a lefty and those aren't going to work for you, we check out the honorable mentions at the front of this video. That'll help get us closer to 500 bucks. All right, next up, we're going to move on from locking folders and move to some non-locking folders. And you got to experience a slip joint, and you also got to experience a Swiss Army knife. I wanted to get a Swiss Army knife and like a traditional case knife on this list together, but I ran out of budget. So we're going to stick with the Swiss Army knife in this case. And I'd recommend going with the Super Tinker. Comes in about $40. And in terms of the tool set, it's probably got one of the, in terms of covering bases for most folks out there, it's got a tool set that's going to work across a broad range of things. You might lack some specialized things that you might find useful on a particular thing, but in terms of covering the bases, the Super Tinker is really good. With this knife, you've got two knives, two blades actually, a smaller pen blade and a larger typical Swiss Army styled drop point blade, both with full flat grinds. Very easy to maintain steel. It's a little on the softer side, but it's going to be very useful when you are learning how to sharpen. You've also got a can opener and a cap lifter, each with screwdriver tips. And the reason I upgraded you here over the standard Tinker is nice pair of scissors as well, which is quite nice. Reverse side of the knife, you get a 3D Phillips driver. You also get a sharpenable awl, leather punch, whatever you want to call it there, and perhaps one of the more quixotic tools on a Swiss Army knife, the parcel hook. You gotta be a little more inventive to find uses for this nowadays, but it's still quite useful. And then of course, everyone's favorite as a kid, the toothpick and tweezers. That was always kind of like the coolest part, wasn't it? And while you can get a lot of Swiss Army knives in a bunch of different colors, if you're getting started, make it the red one. Red Swiss Army knife is a classic. Next up, we have another non-locking knife. This is the CIVIVI Ki-V. Comes in about $45 right now. And the interesting thing about this knife, you'll hear some manufacturers calling this type of mechanism a slip joint, but that only, I think, is because there's no other good kind of universal name for what this actually is. Rather than a back spring or leaf spring like you would see on a traditional slip jointed knife, you have two bars inside the knife itself with detent balls that kind of put a little pressure on the blade when it is open. It's typically easier to close than a standard slip joint. We've taken to kind of calling this a detent joint here because, again, there's no universally accepted term on this, but definitely a popular mechanism right now. And you're going to get it here on another completely different knife to what we've seen so far. This particular knife is a small folding kiradashi style knife, which is a Japanese pattern, real popular with woodworkers. This one's a little more westernized because you have standard flat grinds on it instead of it being chisel ground. But it's a great little utility knife. Make a great box opener. Throw this in any small pocket in a bag or in your watch pocket in your jeans, and it's just gonna disappear, and it's gonna be just a little bit of nice sharp edge when you need it. Comes in, like I said, about $45. The steel here is a 9CR series stainless, so it's a step up from the 8CR stuff we've looked at so far. Even though these are easier to close than a standard slip joint, if you're worried about safety, when you're using this tip, pressing down, you're kind of putting the pressure back towards holding the knife in the open position. So that's a little bit of reassurance there. Got a pocket clip if you want, and you can do some fun things with a detent joint that you just can't do with a slip joint, including flicking it closed. I didn't get it quite right there, but you get the picture. Flicking it open as well. All right, next up, my favorite part. We're talking fixed blades. And this is the only area where I duplicated one manufacturer on this list because it still felt like the right answer. And that is, you need yourself a neck knife. Check out the CRKT Minimalist series. And I'm gonna go ahead for this particular list in this context, suggest the katana version right here. They're all the same price. All the different blade shapes are coming in about $30. This one offers more blade than some of the others. It offers a new blade shape for this list. You've got a trailing point here with compound grinds as well, which is kind of fun. And you've also got an upgrade in blade steel over some of the other minimalist versions. You've got an 8CR series stainless here as well. Now that trailing point blade comes in about 3.5 inches, so a lot of length for a necker. But you could also carry this on the belt if you wish. The sheath that it comes with is equipped for both right out of the box. Comes with the lanyard or the paracord right around the top end, but it also comes with a belt attachment that's going to allow you to carry this horizontally very easily, either cross draw, small of the back, quite nice. This blade shape with that trailing point profile is going to work very well at slicing tasks. Going to work great as a small hunting knife, even some self-defense stuff. The compound grinds here are a lot of fun. You've got hollow grind here at the back. It's going to keep things thinner behind the edge there. And you've got a flat grind at the tip, a little more sturdy. Handles, we've got a micarta-like material right here and some really aggressive finger guards that allow even larger-handed folks like myself, or larger-fingered folks like myself, to have a very secure grip despite the small handle size. And that lanyard or the fob here at the end actually helps that a little bit. You're able to wrap your pinky around it. Really cool. Nice little EDC food prep knife, that sort of thing too. Really fantastic thing. Next up, we need an outdoors knife, and you gotta talk about the insane value of a Mora. The Morakniv. This is the basic 511, comes in at $10. Overmolded handle, quite comfortable with the finger guard there. Scandi ground blade, about 3.5, just over 3.5 inches. These things come razor sharp out of the box. And when you consider it's a $10 knife in terms of value, this really puts just about everything else on the market to shame because it's just so good. It's capable, it's put together well, it's very sharp. And what you see here on this particular knife is a Scandi grind. Again, something completely different from what we've seen so far on this list. Really good at wood carving especially. It's kind of like a double planed chisel in a way, and it sharpens real easily. You can lay a sharpening stone flat on that bevel as you go around. But despite this being really good at wood prep, I said wood prep, that's funny. It's thin enough that it's still gonna work okay at stuff like food prep as well. The thicker a Scandi ground knife gets, the less efficiently it slices. This one has a really nice sweet spot of performance. The sheath is likewise excellent, and the whole package together is very lightweight. 2.7 ounces for the knife. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like 1.5 again for the sheath. Great option for ultralight hiking because you've got a lot of capability without too much weight. Next, we need a combat knife or a big tactical knife for the list. Check out the Ontario SP1. It comes in $43. And what this knife is essentially a remake of the Mark II Fighter, or the famous K-bar combat knife. You've got a 7-inch blade, clip point, the most aggressive clip point we've seen on the list so far. The SOG we looked at earlier had a straight clip point. So again, giving you another completely different blade shape to play with. You've got a fuller back here along the rear of the spine, which relieves a little bit of weight. It's not a blood groove, despite what some folks will say. You've got 1075 carbon steel, very durable stuff. And that's how they're able to keep the price on these down to about $43 as opposed to using a more premium steel. But they're still built well. They can take a beating. The rubberized handle feels good. It's going to keep your grip, help you keep your grip on the knife, whether it's cold out or wet, rainy environments especially, works very well. The sheath on this knife is actually very versatile, especially, again, when you consider the price, you get a lot here. Works equally well lefty or righty because this particular snap strap is reversible, or I should say it can be shifted to either side of the knife. And you've also got another additional snap retention here at the top. Flipping the sheath over, you've got a standard belt loop, and you've also got a MOLLE compatible backing here, so you can attach it to other gear as well. Tons of options considering the versatility of the sheath and the rugged build quality of this knife. 43 bucks is an absolute steal. And last but not least is not a knife. It's something though that is well worth the investment. Get yourself a good sharpener to take care of all these blades. And I'm gonna go ahead and recommend the Spyderco Sharpmaker. It's the most expensive item on this list today. It's about $80, just over. And the reason I picked this over other less expensive sharpeners out there that are still quite effective is it doesn't get much easier to use than a Spyderco Sharpmaker. Now, we've done an entire video on the utility of this unit. It really is quite versatile in the number of things you can do. But the reason, again, that this beat out other sharpeners that are less expensive but still quite effective is just about anyone can get a hair shaving edge with this. I've given these things as wedding presents to non-knife people, and eyes have been opened with the edges they've been able to put on their knives. Kitchen knives, for most of these folks, works well on kitchen cutlery, works great on any of these things. All you have to do is be able to hold the blade straight up and down. It's very easy to tell, even if you're off a little bit, the system is still going to work and is still going to give you fantastic results. So check it out. Check that full video that we did on this particular unit out as well. It's definitely a unit I believe in, and that's why I recommend it. That's it for this list. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if this kind of gets your juices flowing, gets you thinking about ways to kickstart a collection, ways to help other folks. I guess I should, what's the total we came out here to, David? All of this on the table right now. When this video is posted, prices bring it before shipping, although in this case, if you ordered all of this at once, you'd be getting free shipping with us. Before tax or anything, $491.50. That is a lot of cool stuff to play with. What do you do with the extra, $850? Get yourself some microfiber cloths and a little bit of mineral oil. Combined with the sharpener that you've got here, you'll be able to take care of this entire collection and have a real good time doing it. The one thing I couldn't get on this list, like I said, there were a few things. A classic case slip joint or something similar to that, definitely worth checking out if you're looking to expand beyond this. A Leatherman style, like a pliers-based multi-tool, great place to look. But this is a knife collection. That's a tool. A Swiss Army knife, although it's a multi-tool, is still like a pocket knife. So it was the distinction I made there. I also couldn't get you a big fixed blade chopper in this price list or in this price range, but that's more niche. Most people or fewer people are going to need that in their kit. So, but you can check those out too. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the list. If you want to get your hands on any of these items, links in the description will take you over to KnifeCenter.com. While you're over there, make sure you're signed up for our Knife Rewards program. If you've signed up for an account, automatically you are in that program. Because if you're going to spend your money on some of these knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next ones. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.